Good afternoon, everybody. It's Monday, June 28th. So I want to come in here and just do a short 10-15 minute training on finesse wedges. The biggest challenge that you're having is when you do the finesse wedge sequence, we always talk about the club head starts first, then the arms and the chest, then the hips and the knee. And I see a lot of you taking your left arm and swinging all the way out there. And really the way we can do this is we can work backwards. So if we know that when we get to the spaghetti arms, we get to here, this is where we want to be towards the target downrange. And I can do it face on. We want to get to here where the club is pointing towards the target, my belly button's pointing to the target, the butt of the club head is pointing to my belly button, my arms are here towards the target. I see a lot of you guys and gals where your hips never make it anywhere, it's just all arms. And you're flinging the club head and your arms are coming out of sequence. And so if we look at this, working it backwards, if you can put your hands, put your elbows together right next to your sides, just like this, and your arms are slightly bent, and if you just take your body and you shift towards the target, and you can take and move your hips that way, you can take your elbows and your shoulders and your hips and move that way. This is where you're going to want to finish. And so I would work backwards and start to train first the knees and the hips towards the target, and just work on that sequence. And you're not standing straight up, you're in a golf posture. So if you're in a golf posture and your weight's supposed to be on your front foot, so then go ahead and take your knees and your hips and just get towards the target. Get your energy flowing towards the target. Now when I do that, well, my chest and my arms are along for the ride, and my hands are along for the ride. So when we look at the sequence, where if I cock my left wrist, which is a power accumulator number 2, and I bend my right wrist, the club is cocked, and then it gets to a 45-degree angle here. Well, if we look at the best full swing part 1, we talk about this 1,000 times, the right shoulder for right-hand golfers is just going to come back a couple inches. So nothing's moving, so I got my weight in my front foot, and I take my right shoulder and I turn it back a couple inches. Well, if I take and cock my left wrist and bend my right wrist, and my weight's in my front foot, and I turn my shoulder back a couple inches, there's a perfect backswing for the finesse wedge golf swing. So if I get my weight in my front foot, I cock my right wrist, bend my right, now if I just bring my shoulders back 2 inches, here I am up the plain toe up. And you can do this 1,000 times in a mirror, over and over and over. And as you can see, the club head is still in front of the hands, it's not behind the hands. So I cock my left wrist, I bend my right, and I pull my shoulder back a couple inches. Now I'm in a perfect backswing, takeaway, upswing for a finesse wedge. There I am on plane, perfect backswing. I do this 1,000 times in the mirror, over and over and over and over and over. So now when we master the backswing for the finesse wedge, well, the downswing sequence is the club head. And I can move the club head by taking my left thumb and pushing down the shaft, or I can take my number 3 pressure point, which is this little knuckle on my right finger. And as you can see, there's pressure against the shaft. There's pressure, so that number 3 pressure point. So I can take that number 3 pressure point and I can push down. I can start the downswing. Remember, the sequence is club head first, then the arms and the chest, and then the hips and the knee. And so by working this backwards and making sure that you can train your lower body, you can put a shaft right on your hips, get in your golf posture here, get my weight on my front foot, and I can just rotate my hips, and now I got all my weight on my front foot. All my energy's towards the target. Hips and right knee, hips and right knee. And then when the hips are going, well, the chest is going automatically. So now if I look at cock of my left wrist, bend my right, take my shoulders back, I'm in a perfect backswing for the finesse wedge. I can start down with my hands. I'm going to drop the club head first. So it's club head, arms and chest, and then the hips and the knee. And you can do this 5 minutes a day for the next 30 days, and it will be such a subconscious automatic habit, it'll look just like this. And now, once you master this swing sequence, then you can start practicing for performance, meaning you can take 10 balls. You're not trying to pick a target and get to the target, you're just going to take 10 balls with your highest lofted wedge, hit 10 swings to here, and then see how far they land and see how far they roll. Alright, pop it up. So if I cock the left wrist and I bend the right, it puts the club at 45 degrees. And if I turn my shoulders back a couple inches, now I've got a perfect takeaway for the finesse wedge. Then the downswing sequence is not the hips first, it's the club head, then the arms and chest, and then the hips and the knee. And so when we go back to putting our arms next to our rib cage and we just rotate this way, you'll notice my arms are still bent. My left arm is still bent. And that's really what we're doing. We want to just have a nice finesse, like you're trying to hit the ball with a ladybug on top of the ball and you're not trying to harm the ladybug. It's a finesse wedge. It's going to go 8 yards, 13 yards, 21 yards, 34 yards, but it's still the same sequence, and it's a finesse wedge sequence. And so you can sit here and you can see that my lead arm is not flinging away from my body. I'm not stretching my arm fully out. This is what we talk about, the spaghetti arms. They're just nice. They're going to bend a little bit because where the action is at, it's right here where we want the club head to actually pass the hands. Here on this swing, we want the club head to pass the hands. In the chipping shot, in the distance wedge stroke, in the full swing stroke, we don't ever want the club head to pass the hands. This is what it looks like at impact. We don't want the club head passing the hands. On the full swing, the club head is at the target, my hands are at the shortstop, and it's already gone. But for the finesse wedge, we do want the club head to pass the hands. In the finesse wedge sequence, in the bunker sequence, we want to throw the club head and let it bounce off the ground. We just want to let it bounce off the ground. And so you can do one-handed drills where you can see my wrists are nice and soft. I'm cocking, I'm uncocking, I'm bending, and I'm rebending on the finish. So one-handed drill here, and it's the same thing as doing this, where I've got my hands here. And so this is going to help you really ingrain a new subconscious, unconscious, perfect sequence, perfect swing, making sure that when you're doing these drills that your hands don't go here and your body stays here. You've got to make sure that your chest and arms are carrying the club head. The club head is the accelerant. The club head is where the velocity starts. It's going to start here. Then the arms and chest are going to carry that club head through. And then the hips and the knees are going to carry everything else through. I'm not trying to get a lot of power. I'm letting the club head drop, or I'm actually dropping it with the left thumb, like I'm hammering down. And you'll notice that the left wrist bends, and then the left elbow bends. So it's not that I'm trying to keep this full inline structure all the way through in the full swing. I'm cocking, uncocking, and allow my weight to transfer towards the target. So by cocking the left wrist, bending the right wrist, so you can practice this, cock and bend, shoulder turn, there's my perfect takeaway. You can do this over and over in a mirror, there's my perfect takeaway. Now I'm going to start down with the club head. Everything's connected to my rib cage. So the sequence for the finesse wedges is club head, arms and chest, and then the hips and the knee. And then everything's towards the target. My arms are slightly bent, spaghetti arms. Butt of the club head's pointing at my belly button. So let's see if this will help you guys master the finesse wedges around the ring and really drop your scores this week. And I would sit here and work on left hand only, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1001, 1002, 1003. Just make sure you're getting your hips involved. And so you can simply just do a drill here and just take your hands and get one of those Bosey balls or balls and just hold it this way. You grab one of those. You see my arms are not fully extended. They're slightly bent, connected to my rib cage. And once you do left hand, you can do right hand. And what we talk about, the right hand just simply bends. So the right hand's going to bend, and the left wrist is going to cock. And so the left wrist cocks, right wrist bends. So I can bend the right wrist, that puts it at a 45-degree angle, and I can turn my shoulder back a couple inches. Here I am, up the plain toe up. Perfect. 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 So I'm going to start with the club head. I'm going to take the number 3 pressure point, drop the club head down, and let the arm and chest carry that energy. I'm not accelerating that energy like this. I'm letting it drop down, and I'm letting the arm and chest carry that energy, and letting the hip and the knee carry that energy. And then you can put it together without cocking and bending, and you just actually start your backswing here. 1001, 1002, 1003. So hopefully that will help you guys out this week. Up the plain toe up. Make sure the club head, arms and chest, then the hips and the knee, and just keep doing the mirror work in front of a camera, face on, down the line, over and over and over and over and over. Perfect balance. And then you can go out and practice for performance by hitting balls with different wedges and seeing how far they go. And then now you can start to get a baseline of how to master the performance. And if you have any questions, just get on my calendar. You guys have a great day.